Hello, everyone. I'm so excited you're here with us. This is Keyfob's 360. I'm riding in front of him. We are up near Asheville, North Carolina, to go get a blessing by a Hindu guru named Amma. Amma means mother. So I really want to discuss fear because letting go of some of that fear is ultimately what led me to seek out Amma. I've always lived a fear-based life, always. And so part of my recovery is truly learning to surrender, truly learning to allow my higher power to take control of my life and me stop trying to control my life. So the idea of branching outside of Christianity, I've always been a Christian. I consider myself a Christian mystic now, which is just a little bit different than the typical organized religion, but I'm all accepting of all religions. So I started kind of reading about Buddhism and Hinduism, and I found out that Hinduism is an all accepting religion, which is what led me to one of the nearby temples and how I was introduced to Amma. Well, she wasn't at that location, but that's how I found out about Asheville. So fast forward, leading up to the visit to Amma, it was Father's Day weekend, and my dad, love him, but he kind of, just as a father should, gives me positives and negatives of any scenario. And so he's like, Crystal, you haven't registered, you haven't done anything, you're going to ride up from Valdosta in South Georgia all the way up to Asheville to get this blessing. You're going to get there, and you're not even going to get to see her. There's going to be so many people. And, I explained to him that, Dad, if I don't get to meet Amma, the blessing is maybe in the ride. I don't know, but I know I was called to go there. And that's where I'm practicing listening to my higher power. So I am going there. And whether I meet Amma or not is irrelevant. I have to learn to trust my higher power. And that has been hard for me. Even going to the move to Tampa. A lot of people have, expressed concerns, Florida with its weather and, the high interest rate, the high hazard insurance, and, it's just expensive to live there. So there's been a lot of fear with that coming up. But we've been pulled to go there because of Forgotten Angels. And also the ocean is very much a home to my heart. And I want to volunteer in that aspect as well. So I know that if I'm aligned in a selfless act, like our main purpose to go there is to volunteer more and do selfless acts, then, everything will line up. I have to try to release that fear. And then another fear base that comes with this move is changing my careers. I've been a teacher for 18 years. I've always signed that next contract. So I'm kind of like in limbo, and I'm having to learn to just let it be, continue doing my daily work and lining up the actions to make the move happen and the career change to happen. But stop letting fear run my decisions. If I let fear run my decisions, I will be stuck. Always. But the more I let go of this fear-based living, the more at peace I feel, and the more I feel and hear God. It's amazing. It really is. And I did not really truly understand the power of prayer and manifestation until I got sober and clean and truly started meditating more and truly started praying more. And it's still a day-to-day work, and it always will be. But because I am ultimately a spiritual person having a human experience, so it's practice, But it's just amazing at the progress and how I can see beauty in the world now. Just this ride through these mountains alone was a blessing. And then what came with it even more was that we realized how close we were to the tail of the dragon. So even after being blessed to the ride to Amma's, the ride back from Amma's, and then to the tail of the dragon, all sober, new memories with Maddie Keyfob. Maddie and I have been together for 13 years, and this man deserves to see a sober life with his wife. He's a normie, quote unquote normie. He's not an alcoholic or an addict, but he's always been married to me, So it's beautiful to be able to ride with him and him not have to worry about me being drunk or using or etc. So yeah, just such a blessing. I can't say it enough. I love you all. You're all amazing to me. I hope each and every one of you know that you're always loved, guided, and protected. I hope y'all have an awesome day today.